They say that RP, or role-playing, plays a vital role in shaping your identity. Although it might sound irrelevant, but it is undoubtedly a key to explore and shape not just yourself, kundi ang iyong digital self. Or to simply put, the digital self is the version of ourselves we present online or in social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as people explore their digital identity, it is most noticeable in youth or adolescence. During adolescence, people are in a stage of identity formation in which they try to understand who they are. They use social networking sites or SNS to explore and express their identity. SNS offers anonymity, where users can express themselves freely without consequences. Interactivity, they can easily engage and communicate because social media lets communication happen in their platform. And lastly, connectivity, where they can connect with more people and groups na hindi lang specifically sa Pilipinas but also in Indonesia, USA, and etc. Because of these freedoms, adolescents tend to show only the part of themselves that they want others to see, not knowing na yung voice na ka-chat mo sa Discord ay isang alam mo na. Now, there are three types of adolescent self-esteem. 1. Self-concept. 2. Personal self-esteem. And 3. Collective self-esteem. The three types of adolescent self-esteem are connected because they all shape how a person sees and values themselves. Self-concept is how teens understand who they are. Personal self-esteem is how much they appreciate and feel confident about themselves as individuals. And collective self-esteem reflects how proud they are about belonging to a group. Together, these build a balanced sense of identity and confidence during adolescence. Now, adolescent self-esteem is affected by their perceived evaluation of other people about them. And it is where something wrong with this idea. Because they tend to hide undesirable traits and highlight positive ones to gain approval and social support. For example, a corrupt official may boast about a fake project to gain praise and hide their wrongdoing. On Facebook, teens build their identity in two ways. Personal online identity construction, in which how they present themselves through posts, photos, and profiles to show who they are. And social online identity construction, in which how they connect, interact, and gain approval from friends or groups, and shaping how others see them. And according to Brillantes Evangelista, Baybay and Dingkong, adolescent identity construction involves forming an autonomous or free self presented to others in which is shaped by personal identity or their unique characteristics and social identity, including the groups they belong to or want to belong to. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook in the year 2004, originally designed Facebook only for Harvard University students. And as Facebook grew worldwide, it became a space where college students could shape their identities by sharing posts, photos, and profiles to present the image they want others to see, in which it will help them to explore their personal and social identities. Sa Facebook, naipapakita ng tao ang sarili, nakakonekta sa iba, at nagpapaganda ang tingin ng tao sa kanila. Now let's go around the aspects of Facebook use and identity construction. Creating a space for self-revelation. Strong personal information to show who you are and explore your identity. People use Facebook to share personal stuff and show who they are. It's like an online stage where they post what they want others to see and explore their identities. This relates to the social penetration theory because when people share personal information on Facebook, they are practicing self-disclosure, which helps them express and explore their identity, just like how the theory explains that relationship deepen through sharing personal details. Projecting needs and preferences. It is the expressing of emotions and desires to connect with others. Now, people use Facebook to show their true selves and what they like. They post about activities with friends or family, expressing emotions and thoughts through photos and posts. It's a way to reflect on and rebuild who they are, fulfilling their belongingness and esteem needs as described in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Creating a virtual surrogate group. Forming online relationships for belonging and support. Facebook helps you find people who understand you when you feel out of place. Online groups offer a sense of belonging and support, whether you're a fan of a TV show or need help with personal challenges. Providing connection with real-life relationships are lacking. Managing impressions. Positive self-presentation. Showing only the desirable or good side of our life. Facebook users manage and limit what their mutuals or friends can see by only presenting or posting things that pass their requirements of what's good enough and what's going to get less negative feedback. For example, a circle of friends took group photos while they were hanging out. Now, it's time to share those photos online. The owner of the account will post the photo where they look best, and it doesn't matter whether one of them was in a wacky post as long as the owner of the account looked good. So, what's wrong with using social networking sites? There's actually nothing wrong with using social networking sites. In fact, it's one of the best places to build connection with other people, and you can have quick access to various information through social networking sites. The problem lies on how it is used. We tend to idolize people online and set whatever is trending or popular as our standards, affecting how we view reality. And too much use of social networking sites can also cause us to be detached from reality, which affects our relationship and connection with those around us in real life. An example of negative impact of wrong usage of social networking sites is when we compare the number of reactions and comments in our photos with others. If you see that your post gained very few reactions while your friend got, let's say, 100, you will feel insecure and ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Or, what does she have that I don't?
And then we move on to the social self. So the social self tackles about how one's development of identity is greatly affected or influenced by by interactions with others, your role in the society, and your relationship with others, such as peers, family, and community. So social groups like family, school, and the community shape our beliefs, values, and behaviors, like how family teach us values from an early age. For example, how family teach us to be respectful. So when we interact with people, we interact in a respectful manner. Like, for example, when interacting with older people or elderly citizens, we use po as a gesture of respect. The society or the community also affects how you think you should act based on societal norms, or kung anong pasok dun sa norms, that is how you should act. Like, if yung norm sa mga bata in a Philippine society or in your community is maging respectful at magalang, then you should be magalang. Pasok yan sa societal norms. Social groups shape who we believe we are, considering how others look at us. So, if you remember Charles Horton Cooley's The Looking Glass Self-Theory, it's our perception of self based on others' perception of us. So, if others perceive us as someone smart or intelligent, then we will see ourselves or we believe that we are capable and smart. It also shapes who we believe we are, considering the social groups we belong to. So, if we belong to a group of pharmacy students, then you are a pharmacy student. And it also shapes who we believe we are based on our roles. So if the role you perform is that of a student, then you carry the responsibility to learn. Your sense of identity isn't fixed. So if right as of now, you are a pharmacy student, so when you graduate 4 years later, you're going to become a pharmacy graduate. And after you take on the board exam, you will become a fully fledged pharmacist. So it adapts over time. It depends on the individual's experience. Next up is how culture affects how one interacts with people and their environment. So culture is the shared belief, values, and behaviors of people in a society. An example of this is the utang na loob Filipino culture, which isn't as simple as paying back someone in physical form, but someone's emotional and moral obligation to pay back someone and give importance to the gesture, treasuring it, and showing gratitude. So in situations where one is being helped out by another person in times of need, they won't simply look at it as a debt that they have to pay in physical form, but they will honor the gesture and show gratitude. The biological systems theory has 5 environmental systems in total, which are the microsystems, the mesosystems, the exosystems, macrosystems, and chromosystems. Let's start with microsystems. Microsystems are direct or environments that directly influence a child during development. So, microsystems could be your family, your peers, or the community. So take for example, the family. If you have a supportive family, then that would positively impact your performance. Next up, we have the mesosystems. The mesosystem is the interaction between two microsystems. So take for example, your friends and your family. If ever your family finds your friends a bad influence towards you, then your family would prevent you from seeing those friends, would leave a negative impact on your social life. Exosystems are environments that indirectly affect you. Like, take for example, in a college setting, you find out that someone flunked their test in your course and they dropped the course. So that doesn't really directly affect you, but it would leave you thinking that maybe it could happen to you, or it would leave you worried that since you've realized that the course is hard, then you'd start overthinking. Macro systems is how social and cultural values affect the development of one's identity. So, for example, in a culture that values respect, one is taught to respect people that they interact with. And another example is a culture that values education, then one would be expected to learn. Chronosystem is how life events, transitions, and changes affect an individual's development over time. So, take for example transitioning from senior high school to college. So, it would depend on one's own resilience and age, of course, their experience, and how they would adapt over time to college life. Now we move to individualism collectivism model, where we have individualism orientation, where an individual is convinced that they are different from the other. It is where an individual has their own specific individual goal and is focused on setting up individual achievements. The collectivism orientation is how one would describe themselves as part of a larger social group like family, community, or nation. It is how one would decide based on what is better for the group than what is better for themselves compared to individualism orientation. So take for example how an individual would have the resolve on being a soldier to fight for the country. So they are making the decision that could benefit the nation. Now, what is the difference between I self and me self? They both sound the same, but actually, Herbert Mead states that the I self, or the unsocialized self, is when someone acts of their own free will, or of their own will, and the me self, the socialized self, is when one acts as how others would believe them to act, or how others would expect them to act. The I self, or the unsocialized self, is when one acts of their own judgment and one acts of their own motivation without the influence of others. The me self, however, quite the contrary to the I self, is the socialized self. It is when one is aware of how others expect them to act. So, it is acting based on the social norms. So, for example, if kanina umalis ka lang kasi di ka pinasakay sa tricycle driver, this time, alam mo na you are expected to act maturely. So, instead of running off angrily, you are to wait for another tricycle na sana tatanggap sa'yo and carry on with your day.